video, we are reading Christmas with a Crank by Courtney Walsh. This is a childhood friends to lovers Christmas romance set on a Christmas tree farm with a grumpy male main character and a sunshiny female main character. This book is also closed door, no spice, and is dual POV. So with all that in mind, I am so excited to read this book. Let's go ahead and just get to reading. I am 12% through Christmas with a Crank, but I already love this book so much. I honestly forgot, because I haven't read one of Courtney Walsh's books in a while, how much I just love her writing. There's no language, there's no spice. It's always just positive and uplifting and happy, I feel like, and sometimes that's just what you need, I feel like, especially around the holidays. And so I'm really enjoying this book so far. The characters, the setting, the plot, everything I'm just really enjoying. Something that I really loved so far at the beginning is like Liam, who's the male main character, and then his sister Lacey are like home for the holidays, but they're adults. And I think she's just capturing that dynamic really well of like being an adult, but like staying with your parents for the holidays. Like his sister goes out on a run and comes in, and his mom is like, I thought you were sleeping. When did you start running? And then a few minutes later, she's like, okay, we're having turkey tonight. And the sister is like, I don't eat meat anymore. And it's just like stuff like that, where it's like, you were so used to living every day, all day with these people, and then to like not, and all of a sudden you like don't know things about them. And I thought it was just very relatable as somebody who has also kind of entered that being an adult but still like staying with your parents sometimes kind of phase of life. And so there was also this quote which I personally related to a ton. It's kind of like a, I feel like, social anxiety kind of thing, but it says, this is Olive talking, she says, I'm the type of person who needs to know what I'm walking into. Don't text and ask if you can call me. Tell me what we're talking about or I'm not answering. And I just thought that was funny, because that is definitely me. Like, if you text me and you're like, can we talk? I need to talk to you. I'm immediately stressed and like can't think about anything else until we talk on the phone. So like, me and Olive are one and the same right now. But I'm really enjoying this book so far. I was reading at the library for a little bit, but now I'm going to head home and probably read a little bit more tonight, because I'm genuinely just so invested in this story and just want to keep enjoying it. I am now like 37% of the way through Christmas with a Crank, and I am loving this book so far. Like, Courtney Walsh just does such a good job creating small towns and characters and found family, and I just love her writing. And like I mentioned yesterday, just I love reading and knowing that like there's not going to be any spice or language or like any of the things that I don't really enjoy reading. And so I'm really loving this book so far. I really love both Liam and Olive's characters. I find myself relating to Olive a lot, just in the way that she thinks and acts, and in her like personal life and some of the struggles she's had. And I just really enjoy her positive, like quirky, fun character. And also, I think it's really fun to see them talk about and kind of wrestle with like who they were as kids and who they are now. And I think that's something that I personally have thought a lot about in the last few years, is like who I was when I was younger and kind of who I am now, and how maybe I need to be more like I was when I was younger, if that makes sense. And so I also really love Liam's character, and I have found that he reminds me a little bit of my husband, in more so the way that he relates to like this Christmas tree farm that his family owns and kind of his legacy and wanting to go out on his own and that kind of thing. So I'm just really loving them so far. And I also feel like I've really enjoyed some of the like quotes and the writing of Courtney Walsh in this book. I don't know if I remember in her other books like highlighting so many things, but I'll read you a few just like metaphors and different things that have really stood out to me. One of them, it just says, if her words were fingers, they'd be pressing against a bruise. I just like that, like if your words were fingers. I also like that she said, it's like Beast when he's asking Belle to dinner, Cogsworth and Lumiere reminding him to be a gentleman. Which I just love the Beauty and the Beast. I know Courtney Walsh was like a theater kid, and so I love the little like theater references she's put in here. This one says, the words are true, of course, but they make me feel like I just slipped on ice. So overall, I'm really enjoying this book. I feel like it could be a 4 or a 5-star read, which is crazy for a Christmas book. I feel like normally they're not that highly rated, but I am just so enjoying these characters and Courtney Walsh's writing. So I'm going to maybe go out to a coffee shop or something. It's raining, and I feel like it would just be a cozy vibe to keep reading there for a while. Over 3/4 of the way done with Christmas with a Crank, and I just thought it was time for a little bit of an update. I am still loving this book. I'm still loving Liam and Olive. I'm still loving their little town and their found family and the Christmas tree farm. There's this scene towards the end of the book that happens at the farm that I just think is so funny that she included it, and it's just like a funny situation paired with like a serious conversation, and I just kind of love how she like melded the two together. I also feel like we kind of got to that point in the book where like things are going well, but you know it's too early on for this to just like continue for the rest of the book. But something else that I love about Courtney Walsh's writing is that I know that like nobody's gonna die, like nothing horrible is gonna happen at the end of the book, and sometimes I feel like you just need that kind of a story. And I feel like I'm trying to remember, I feel like most of her books, as romance books do, has some sort of conflict in the kind of third act, as you would call it, like a third act breakup or something. But I would not call them breakups. I would probably call them like healthy relationship conflicts. Like I feel like they are just moments in their relationship when they disagree about something or some kind of situation happens and they have differing views on it. And maybe they do, have some conflict. Maybe one of them or both of them say things that they shouldn't have, but they don't just like ignore each other forever and have like an actual quote unquote breakup. It's more like they take some time to cool off, process, and they come back together and just deal with conflict in a very, I feel like, healthy and mature way. And so that's something, like I said, that I appreciate about her books, is that there's going to be likely some sort of conflict because that's kind of part of the genre and part of the story and part of life. But I feel like she writes it in a very realistic and healthy way. And that's something that I really appreciate about her stories as well. So I am, like I said, I'm thinking I'm like 80-something% of the way through this book. So I'm so excited to finally kind of see how she wraps up Liam and Olive's story, see how they get their happily ever after. I would love an epilogue for them. I feel like that would be so fun. But I also feel like there's a chance we could get a second interconnected book after this, because the sister is super involved in this book. And she's single, and kind of the way the story is going now, it seems like they're all going to be hanging out a lot in this small town. So I feel like that could be possibly another book. She also has a best friend. Her name is Phoebe, who lives in this small town with them. So I feel like there's definitely potential for there to be more books in this world that come after this. So I'm hopeful for that. So for now, my update is simply that I'm loving this book as I was before, and I'm really excited to finish it out and see how it ends. I finished Christmas with a Crank, and I wanted to share my final thoughts, my review, my rating, all of that. So I ended up giving this book a 91 out of 100, which is a 5-star, which I was not expecting. And maybe that's part of what made it a 5-star, is that because it's just kind of a, a cute Christmas book, I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did, but I think this was one of those books too where it was like just the right timing, the right book for me in this season, and I just fell in love with the characters and the town and just everything. So first of all, I loved Liam and Olive. Liam was the perfect amount of grumpy where like he wasn't mean, but he was just more closed off and had reasons for just not always wanting to like share and talk all the time. And I think those kind of people also, it's like when they do talk, you really value what they say and you know that they mean it. And I feel like you saw that with Liam. I also really loved Olive. I feel like she was the perfect amount of just like goofy and silly and just being herself, but still having like struggles, and she was so creative, and I found myself very interested in the things she was doing, like planning events and her art and all of those things. I feel like are things that I also enjoy, and so I found myself relating to Olive a lot in some of those ways. And beyond just Liam and Olive, I loved all of the characters. I feel like she developed such fun side characters like Liam's sister Lacey and their Olive's best friend Phoebe, and even like Liam and Lacey's parents were such fun characters, and you could just see the heart behind their Christmas tree farm and how much they love their kids, and just kind of those knowing like parents in the background who like you think you're fooling them and you're not, and that was just really fun too. I loved the small town setting and the Christmas tree farm. So overall, I loved pretty much everything about this book. There were some really, really fun like Christmassy scenes too. And I just really also enjoyed the writing in this book. I shared some quotes I know earlier in this reading vlog. I highlighted like over 20 things, I think, which for just a fiction Christmas novel, I feel like is a lot. I really enjoyed this. I can't wait. I feel like I will reread this maybe like every Christmas season, because I feel like it for me is like my perfect Christmas rom-com. And I highly recommend it. It's closed door. There's no language. There's no spice. There's no sadness. It's just a fun time that you can escape into and just enjoy during the holiday season. Okay, and that is the end of this reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it inspired you to go read Christmas with a Crank by Courtney Walsh, because I absolutely loved reading this book. It's perfect around the holidays, and I feel like you could also enjoy it any time of the year. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, friends.